I was amused by a story you had told backstage about speaking of fame, some of your experiences with the paparazzi. One of your first experiences, the atonement experience where they were chasing you. Can you tell that story again? Because that was very fun.
Oh, I can't remember why I told this story, but I've never. It's interesting listening to you guys talk about this, because again, at home, I think it is maybe slightly worse in Britain, but again, I think it's different from in America. The light is less bright, like you said. But it did happen once, and I've only ever had anybody waiting outside my house once. And we went in our car and we got followed, and it was very weird and disconcerting and not very comfortable and odd. We thought we'd just go about with our daily lives and just ignore it and all that kind of thing. I think because we'd read that Clive Owen said, just ignore it once. We thought, we'll do what Clive Owen does, he's a solid guy. And we were going into town to buy something for the house, and we went into a parking lot that cost £10 an hour. And on seeing the price of the parking, the paparazzi went, "F that." We're off and left us alone. So the lesson is, if you're being chased by paparazzi, don't drive fast, just find a really expensive parking lot and you'll be cushy.
And now, George, we have to get you to tell your paparazzi story from backstage, your neighbor's story.
Oh, you're talking about the, yeah, well, I just found out about 10 days ago that I must live with like 300 or 400 yards from Britney Spears. And I found out because I came home and like 10 o'clock at night, and there's all these helicopters over my house with these lights like on it. And I was like, I'd gone upstairs and I came out and I'm in a robe, and all of a sudden I see all this shit going on, and I have a guest house where my assistant sometimes is, and I think someone's broken out of prison and is like escaped and is, because it's a chase scene. It's out of, Die Hard. And I'm like, I get my baseball bat, which is what you always get in every film.
Always works.
I actually think Clive Owen said, get a baseball bat.
Get a baseball bat and act normal.
And act normal. And I called up my assistant, who I thought was in the guest house, and I said, are you okay? And she's like, it was like 11 o'clock at night. She's like, yes. And I said, if there's someone in the place, say the word Stonehenge. And she's like, what the f*** are you talking about? She goes, I'm in my apartment. I go, you're not in the guest house? She goes, no. And I'm like, what's going on? And I go out and I run around with a baseball bat in my robe, like, and it's, Britney Spears' house apparently is like, 300 yards from mine. So now I have to move.
Angelina, do you travel with a baseball bat?
And Clive Owen?
No. Yeah. No.
But you have sort of come up with this notion of bringing the cameras with you somewhere interesting, somewhere that you want the cameras to show, like some of the places that you've gone to shine a light on things that need to have a light shine on. If they're going to be following me, I might as well go somewhere where I want people to see what's happening. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
I've been really good about it. I mean, even you think about when you guys showed up in Pakistan after the earthquake, and at a point where our government, had they taken that moment to step in, could have actually had a huge difference in an area. And she and Brad were the only people really that were showing up there bringing assistance. There was a lot of cameras that showed up, and I remember specifically watching that, thinking that is such a great use of people following you with a camera. They've done it a bunch.
There was actually a funny, when we first got there, because they didn't know we were there when we first got there, and we turned on the TV when we got back, and there was a picture of us unloading our gear, and it said, aid workers have arrived.
The solution.
Great.